Okay, I just want to do a very short video here on my GT Mirage drive and just focus on some of the modifications I've made because I do a few things differently here and I think they're actually better than what Hobie does. Here I'm just goofing off, showing you how it works. Nothing important there, but here's the first modification. I use a bungee cord instead of the cable that Hobie uses for the idler cable for the idler thing, and bungee cord works just as well. So you can get just a few cents for a bungee cord, or you can spend 50 bucks for an idler cable. So here I'm going to take off the bolt that holds the crank arms in place. And wow, that guy is fast. Look at that. So taking off the bolt, and the bolt went by kind of fast there, but it's actually a nylon bolt. I use solid aluminum crank arms. And if you do that, don't use the stainless steel bolt, or it's going to be really hard to get out of there, especially if you go in salt water. So here I've taken off the drums. Okay, I took off one already. I guess I didn't show that. So I'm taking off the drum. Don't know why that's kind of difficult to remove, but it usually just pops right off. Probably have it at a little bit of an angle. Anyway, so I get that taken off, and here's the big modification that I think is really important and you should consider. Hobie on the GT drive uses those black plastic roller bearings, they call them, and those are made of delrin plastic. The ones I use here are made of nylon. Okay, and so here I'm showing they're 1/8 inch, same as what Hobie uses. And around the drum, each drum, Hobie uses 15 of these. I use one less. Okay, use 14. The reason you do that if you use nylon is because nylon does expand ever so slightly when it gets wet, so you can use one less and you have no problem with that expansion. And the benefit is, well, I'll get to that in just a second, but here I'm just using, showing you that I use a 1/8 inch Allen key to loosen that set screw so I can get the sprockets off, and they also have roller bearings in them. But the reason for using nylon is that it's self-lubricating. So you never need to add grease, and it works just great. I mean, they don't squeak, they don't attract grit and dirt. I think it's a huge benefit to use nylon. I've been using them for years. Now, before that, I always had noisy, squeaky Mirage drives. Now they work like a charm. Okay, so here I'm get the rod out of there, and it's not grease. I'm not wiping grease off. It's just wet. Okay, and now here is one of the sprockets. And again, it's a little bit wet, so that's why the nylon roller bearings are not coming out so easily. But again, no grease, never grease these things, and you just be silent, works great. Okay, so each of these typically has, according to Hobie, would have 12 of their roller bearings, so I put in 11, one less. Okay, so 11 roller bearings. Each of these is 4 inches long. I guess that's what I'm showing there. And I didn't show it, but for the drums, each of the roller bearings is 1 5/8 inches long. Okay, so here I'm looking at them, just examining them, and they're all perfect. I mean, they've been in there for years, at least 2 years, and hundreds, if not 1,000 miles of pedaling, and they're just like new. So they never wear, and they are self-lubricating. You don't have to add grease, and all you have to do is just put one less, okay, than you would do if it was the delrin Hobie bearings. Okay, here is the idler pulley, and I noticed a slight mistake here because I'd only put 10 in there, 10 roller bearings, again, nylon, and it's supposed to have 11, so I'm going to cut one from a long length of nylon that I have available. Yeah, so there it is. So I decided to cut one, and these are 1 3/8 inches long, and again, you use 11 of them instead of 12. And it's not super easy to cut, but you can certainly cut it with just a standard scissors. So there you go, got it cut. Okay, so now I've got 11 of these that I will put in the idler pulley. The idler pulley is not that important. I mean, you could, whatever you do there. Yeah, and here it just says 1 3/8 inch, and there's 11 of them. It says 10. That was a mistake. There should be 11. There were 10 in there. There should be 11. Okay, so again, the idler pulley is not that important. I mean, you could use the standard idler thing. There's just almost no friction there anyway. That's pretty minor, but if you got it, go ahead and use it. Okay, so here I'm looking at the drums. So not drum, but the spine. Okay, and so this is the modern version of the Hobie spine, and you can see those sort of wings on it where it blocks a little bit of the slop that comes up through the hole where you put the Mirage drive in. And here's another one. It just has those two little plastic knobs on it. Those are kind of guides that allow you to insert it maybe a little bit easier, but some of the older Hobies don't have the slots for those, so I cut them off on the one that I took apart. And then on my right hand there, on your left, is an older version of a spine. Notice it doesn't have those wings, or whatever you want to call them, that sort of block the water slopping up through. It's not a big deal. I would use either one. Doesn't really matter which one you use. Matters probably a little bit if you're sailing. I do sail on my AI, but if you're just pedaling, you're probably not going to notice much difference. So anyway, different kinds of drums. So I'm using the sort of current version. I think these are the latest and greatest that Hobie has available. Okay, now what? I guess that's all taken apart. So I'm going to put it back together. I'll speed it up for this part because it's really the reverse process, nothing too exciting. I just wanted to show here, it's actually really easy to insert those bearings. Okay, you just put the metal rod in like halfway and you insert the bearings and then put the set screw in and you're done with that idler pulley. And the sprockets are actually just as easy. Okay, with the sprockets, you put the rod halfway in, and I'm just showing here that there's a set screw goes in the middle, so there's a little flat spot in the middle. So I put a mark where that's on the end of the rod so I can get it lined up correctly so the set screw will go into that little slot. That's a little bit confusing. I meant to make that slow, but I made that fast, so you couldn't really see what I was doing. But anyway, here I'm putting the nylon roller bearings in. Again, 11 of them for each of these, and they're all 4 inches long. And just put the metal bar halfway in, and now I put it halfway through the next one, insert these nylon roller bearings, and it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. You don't need any special tools, nothing like that. And here I think I'll just tap it into place and we'll be good to go. So again, just to emphasize, the nylon bearings, you do not need grease. Do not grease these things. That's a huge benefit, and it will be more silent, quieter, and smoother than if you use the delrin bearings with tons of grease or lubricant. So I think it's just a huge win. Okay, so now here's the drums. These are a little bit more complicated and to get the bearings in. In this case, I left the bungee cord on because it's still in good shape. So there is a front and a back here. Otherwise, you could put them on either side. So I have to get that correct. So I'm getting that lined up first. Now I'll put the roller bearings in. And the way I do that is I just use a little piece of Kleenex and I stick that in the slot there and just make sure that it protrudes out the other side because you're going to have to be able to pull it out. But that's enough to hold the bearings in place. Okay, so there you can see it kind of sticks out the other side a little bit. Once I do that, then I will quickly put in the bearings. And again, there's 14. If you're doing the Hobie, there's standard Hobie delrin bearings. There's 15, but I use one less, so there's 14 of these guys go in there. And you can see, okay, they're around the center, and I can put that over the metal bar, the axle there, and that tissue just pops right out, you're good. Okay, the other side's very similar. I didn't show that. I think I just skipped that. Okay, now I'm putting the nuts back on, putting the chains and cables back together. I just wanted to mention the big issue with this drive. I mean, I think it's great. The problem people have, or the biggest trouble, is always with the cables. Okay, the cable connects to the chain. There's a little spot where the cable part connects to the chain, and when that gets rusty, replace it, okay, because that's going to break. And when that breaks and you're on the water, that's a big pain in the rear. Okay, so here I'm putting the solid aluminum crank arms back on and using, again, those nylon bolts. Okay, here I'm adjusting the tightness of the cables. You don't want them too tight. Okay, you notice it's a little bit loose there. I think that's just about the right amount of looseness. So if you get them too tight, it's actually less efficient, harder to pedal, and it puts more stress on the drive, and especially the cables. Okay, you don't want to put additional stress on those cables, because that's where most of the problems come in, is when the cable break. So here you can kind of see how much looseness there is. I'm holding the fins between my legs tight, and then I'm showing you that there's still a little bit of wobble in the pedals themselves, and I think that's just about the right amount. You can squeeze those cables, and they should squeeze. They shouldn't be too tight. All right, so that's kind of what you're looking for as far as fine-tuning the cables. Okay, and that's about all I've got. It looks like it's all put back together and it's ready to go. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below.